networks. So by sending these small notifications, by sending these small updates, we've seen that publishers have seen great value come out of it. Again, this is something which was implemented recently, but from the limited set of data which we have, we've seen a 25% reduction in our churn rate by just putting this. And we've, again, with qualitative feedback, not quantitative feedback, qualitative feedback, we've seen people actually coming out and telling us, that this has been of great help to them. So we are seeing referral, word of mouth actually going through this. So these, the last two ones are more sort of, thought experiments where we don't really have exact data to prove what we're saying as of yet at the moment. But the first two ones which have really worked for us, are building, of course, buying that plugin with a lot of active users, and then of course using our tool itself in the delivery mechanism, putting that ad feedback system. Any questions?
So, questions for him? Ankit, anyone? Okay, thanks Ankit. So, just to sort of sum it up, like the thought process that we started here was with how do you use your product to get more customers, right? How do you use your product and customers to get more customers? Now, if you have to abstract it at a very base level. So one is your customers adoring your product and telling somebody about it. So which is sort of an evangelism. Part of that is serendipity. But a bigger part is how do your customers of the product involve somebody else outside to complete that workflow. Now the more you start thinking about that, what part of the product, let's say your product ends at task 1, but there's a task 2 be done. Can you pick up one part of that task 2, push it here, ensure that this is a 10x more optimal way for this customer to involve that. So I'll give you 2 examples here to wrap it up. Think of payment gateways. Okay, so we use a payment gateway called Avangate and Share It Digital River. Every time you go on fusioncharts.com or any of our product websites, when you buy it, the payment is handled by the US company or the Dutch company. The entire transaction happens on that. The call center is of that company. The support is of that company. The link sent out by that company. We are selling to developers. These developers or ISPs, when they want to sell, again they say, hey, Fusion Charts is using Avangate or Digital River, we should also explore. Because of that workflow being extended to somebody else. Second example is DocuSign. So if I have to get a document signed online, DocuSign, SignEasy, so on and so forth in India, you are sending a document to sign to somebody, one part of a very large workflow, and you are intentionally using it because it makes your life 10x better. But you're getting that product in, and you're sending it to another guy who now has to either sign up for DocuSign or use that product. So think about your product. How does an existing customer to achieve something which he wants to do in that entire workflow? Let's say if you stop at 1, if you have to make it 1.1, how will he get more people? And that's the part of product to marketing machine, or one part of it. All right, thank you guys for being an attentive audience.
Really good insights. Yeah. How many guys asleep here? Great insights. Yeah. How many asleep here again? Neeraj, I saw you. Saw you too. Okay, so to wake you up, let's get Suresh here for a quick 2-minute note. Suresh.
I want to bring up Mohan from Norwest Ventures on stage. He's a partner for us to bring this event to you. This event costs a lot of money. It costs close to $10,000 per person. So without partners like Mohan and Norwest, we couldn't do it. Please, Mohan, 2 minutes for you.
It's good to see here, everyone. Sorry. Norwest, just to give a background, we are one of the venture capital firms and very active in enterprise software globally. We have funded, the last count we had was we have funded about 350 odd enterprise firms globally. Many have gone IPO. So India also we expect the same, it's probably early days, but we expect the same amount of momentum here in India. So it's good to see all of you. Okay, so we're happy to see such a large crowd. I heard it's 200 plus founders here. So like to meet all of you. We like to fund all of you. It's, yeah. So we typically don't come at angel stage. We come at Series A, B, C. Okay, that's our sweet spot. Okay, to give you an idea. And roughly, I mean, many of you may have questions we can take after the, don't want to stop the flow of the workshop. We expect at least by doing 3 to 5 million annual run rate, okay? That's a guideline, okay, where we come in and put series A and B and C. We anywhere do from 5 million to 25 million into a company is a sweet spot. Having said that, one thing I just wanted to highlight is globally you've seen SaaS multiples or enterprise multiples have compressed, right? If you see the graph from January of last year, 2015 to January of 2016, it's compressed by half, okay? Which means a SaaS company and an enterprise license company, they're valued the same, okay? It's an interesting situation where the classic enterprise model where you sell one time and then collect a AMC and monthly revenue model is first time has converged into roughly 5 times, okay? That's the, I think it'll change back, okay? I think the 2 fundamental reasons, okay? So we did a deep dive, 2 fundamental reasons why it got converged. Where SaaS companies globally never make money, okay? So if you go right from Salesforce down, they keep burning capital. They've been promising that next year I'm going to make profit, but if you analyze most companies, they never make money, okay? They always continuously at a loss, okay? That's one of the fundamental reasons why so I think the marketing, how do you make marketing as an extension of product or vice versa? How do you product becomes a marketing is very important because that brings the cost down ultimately, because that's a fundamental cost. Fundamental cost is how much it costs to acquire a customer and support it, right? It's very important. So I think the point I want to make here is for companies in India, you can build a profitable company. Right? So if you build a profitable SaaS company, it's actually highly valuable, okay? Because globally the SaaS companies are not profitable, okay? So I think you have to be very capital efficient. So you have to be very capital efficient, okay? So don't get hyped by raising a large amount. Like if I see someone saying I'm going to raise a 40 million round in a SaaS company, I will say, look, I cringe because you don't need that kind of money, okay? So you could do with the 10, 15 million and build a, maybe depending on an area, if it's a small and medium sector you're targeting or enterprise, okay? Enterprise may cost a little bit more, okay, may require 30 to 40 million, but it's just, so I think be capital efficient because that's one way to have discipline and one way to make sure you are thinking through a lot on your customer acquisition, churn and everything and building a profitable company, okay? So that's a message I want to leave is, I think the days have come to create profitable SaaS companies out of India, okay? That's a value. Thanks.
What did you call as a lifestyle business and what is not a lifestyle business? Because the moment profit comes into the picture, we just think of it as a lifestyle business.
Add on to the question before you answer.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've heard a VC actually say, build profitable business. We are always asked to go for growth.
Yeah, I think it's a good question, right? How would I classify, right? If you are building a company, what are the 2 purposes, okay? One is you want an exit through an IPO, right? Or you want to be bought by an M&A, okay? There are 2 things. If you're neither of these 2, then you're a lifestyle, okay? That's how I put it, okay? If you are building a company which you cannot do IPO, and there are parameters for going for an IPO, we can discuss in length, okay? If you want to go an IPO, in my view, you have to have at least 10 to 15 million of EBITDA, okay, which is your gain. So you can do a 40 million business and have a 30% of EBITDA, which is 12, 15 million. You could go an IPO at 25 to 30 times, okay? So which means if you're doing 20, the why I put 10 to 12 million is 25 to 30 times will take you to a 300 million, okay? That's the kind of time where you will get a lot of, you can do a sub 100 million IPO, but you'll find that you can't sell your stock, it's idle stock, nobody buys it, nobody follows it. So you need at least a 300 million in market cap, okay, to be an IPO company. So that's the guideline, okay? Can you do it? Can you build a profitable company which is 10 to 15 million of profit? Okay? Revenue, so it can be 100 million, it's 15% will do that, or a 40 million is 30% of it, I will do that. Okay, that's a, if you're not, then the only option is M&A, okay? Now, is this a field which there are a lot of buyers? So it's very easy to find. If you just talk around, okay, you can, any business you do, whether it's appointment or it's healthcare or it's retail, you'll find there's a set of buyers, okay? You can map it out, you can take the help. Is this a gap? Okay, somebody is going to buy you only because there are two reasons. One, you're threatening them, okay, threatening the life of a big company, or truly filling a product gap, okay, geographical. So if you're not these two, then you become a lifestyle, okay? Doesn't matter. 40 million, 50 million become a lifestyle.
Thank you. Which we started last year. Something really cool where we get a few founders to talk about what worked for them and stuff like that. So over to you, Tarun.
Sure. Great. Thank you so much. This is Tarun from Matrix Partners. We're a US-based VC fund for those of you who don't know. Similar to what Mohan said about Norwest, we've also been fairly active, I would say, in the enterprise space. More in the US, increasingly in India as well. In the US, we've been fairly active in SaaS since 3 or 4 decades. So we've been doing both enterprise and SaaS, so HubSpot, Zendesk, and a bunch of others. In India, I would say we've started 2 years ago looking at SaaS. We've done 5 investments so far. Actually, 2 of our companies are here, and they'll talk about it. So Practo, Zargit, both are here. We've done Belong and grown out in the recruitment space, and we've got one other company in the restaurant POS space. So we'll talk about that. Just to the question on profitability to Girish, right? Which is, VCs have suddenly started using these words, unit metrics and profitability. I think I had a conversation with one of our founders, I think this was like 2 months ago, and he told us the same thing. He's saying, listen, what has changed? You're the same person, I'm the same person. 6 months ago you told me that go for growth, and suddenly now you're saying go for profitability and look at unit metrics. What's changed? And I think what I told him is what I'll tell you all. Our role as VCs is we are almost like your backseat drivers, right? We are the coach, you're the driver, you're in the front seat, right? When we see an empty highway, right? You're driving at 20, and we see that it's 100 miles per hour highway, the road is clear, what are we going to say? Accelerate. Go fast there, you need to grow faster, you need to, capture market share before others do. The situation has changed, right? Now it's raining, there's a lot of wind, visibility is poor, what's the natural reaction? Hey, slow down, right? I think that's the larger point that we're trying to make, that it's not that these things were never important. I think there was a point in time where liquidity and capital was available very easily, it's not available as easily. And I think that's the larger point I'll leave you out with. So it's not that, these things were never important and suddenly now, have become important, right?
It's always a time sensitive, right?
Yeah.
Take it as a global group.
Correct.
He's going to quote you in the newspaper tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, when you explained the same, right, I thought the problem was go for it always. You're saying that it is always time.
I think it's every business, and all of you all are founders and CEOs here, right? So I don't need to tell you all this. Every moment and every decision, you're optimizing for profitability versus growth. Every decision you take is a trade-off between these two, right? And at different times, you need to have different strategies. So I think that's the larger point I was trying to make.
Yeah, I think why I was mentioning was the SaaS companies valuation completely were not profitable. So people do the premium on that. I think there's a problem there. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Is there a change in metric also, the kind of ROI you look at the VC?
Not really. I don't think so. No, not necessarily. I think, see, the reality is we're early stage investors, right? So we come in at seed and series A. We do anywhere between 1 to 5 million checks. Sometimes when we really like a business, we do much larger checks. So in Practo, we put in a much larger check, for example. So we're seed, series A, series B. When we enter a company, for us, it's a 8 to 10 year horizon that we're entering with, right? And these are market cycles. Every year or two, things will change. So I don't think our expectations of what it takes to build a business are any different. The outcomes are any different. The IRRs, ROI expectations are very different. It's the same. It's just that I think we're trying to advise our companies to temper their own growth aspirations based on market environment. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, and I'm going to keep that very short, and I think the focus will be more on the founders because the real insights will come from them. So I'll maybe call Siddharth from Practo. So for those of you who don't know Siddharth, he's the head of sales at Practo. He's been there at Practo since the very, very early days, and he's built out Practo to what it is today. So more than 15,000 doctors in India use Practo every single day and pay for the software every day. So I'll quickly, why don't you start? Is there another mic or do we just pass it back and forth? Okay. Why don't, this one. So very quickly, you want to just talk a little bit about what is Practo in 2 lines? What does it do? I know it's a hard business to describe in 2 lines, but.